Hey up everyone, Magpie Gaming here. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video we're going to be looking at the Battlefield franchise and what the future holds for it. There's been a little bit of news about it recently due to an investor call that EA did with its investors, and obviously with these there is the chance for people to ask questions, and they put a lot of financial data out there and they talk about all the different games that they've got. And then one guy decided to ask a very pertinent question about the Battlefield IP and how things are going. So his question was, just wondered if you could give an update on how the various projects that are associated with the Battle IP are progressing, and maybe how that plays into some of the things you said earlier about giving your big franchises time to gestate so that they're great when they come out. And the reply is from Andrew Wilson, who is the Chief Executive Officer at EA, and he says, we don't have any date announcements or future announcements. If that's the question, certainly this time. What I'd like to say is I think we've put together an extraordinary creative leadership team. I know we've got the team gathering actually this week in Sweden. I had to call this morning with some of the leadership team and they're very bullish on how that's progressing. I think we've got extraordinary confidence in that, the team, and extraordinary confidence in the progress they're making against the future of that franchise. And I come back to we're not just building a game, we're building a platform, content as a platform to drive live services over the decades to come. And so as we continue to move through this process and become appropriate, we'll share more about the future of Battlefield. But it is firmly implanted in that first pillar of our strategy, building games and experiences that attract and entertain massive online communities across platforms, across business models, across geographies. And I think that Battlefield is going to be a meaningful part of our future, and we'll share more time and share more as time progresses. So takeaway from that is that Battlefield most certainly isn't dead. Now, the release of Battlefield 2042 didn't go down very well. It went down like a lead balloon with a big majority of the community, and a lot of people were saying, do you know what, this franchise is dead. They've completely ruined it, it's over and done with. That obviously isn't how EA and DICE are feeling about it. They are pushing it ahead with more Battlefield games to come. Now, I recently watched JagFrag's video about this subject, and he said that there are 3 studios involved in creating 3 games for Battlefield, and these are all going to be tied together upon release as far as I can tell. And there's going to be a single player element, there's the massive online one, which is what we've got now, which we all know and love, and then obviously it looks as though we might get a battle royale sort of thrown into the mix as well. But most certainly this franchise isn't dead for EA. It isn't dead for a lot of the sort of die-hard Battlefield players out there either, me being one of them. I love the Battlefield franchise, I've loved it over other franchises for a long time, but 2042, the release of that was a massive fall from grace for Battlefield in my opinion. But I have recently started playing again, and I've got to say they've pulled it back really, really well. Yes, a lot of people simply won't come back to the game because they had a bad taste in their mouth from the beginning of it and they're not going to come back to it. But I started playing again and I'm really enjoying it. They've done massive work on the maps to bring them up to scratch. They flow a lot better, the choke points are a lot better, they're a lot more decorated now, there's a lot more assets actually on the maps, and they've changed a lot of I play mainly Conquest. They've changed a lot of points on these maps just to make the maps a lot better and to play better. And yeah, it just works. If the game had released in the state that it is now, it would have done a lot better. It wouldn't have done as bad as it did. They've obviously sort of dialed back the specialists now, so you've got classes back again and you can choose your specialist within the certain classes. So it's a lot more as Battlefield should be, like sort of how we know and love. But what does this mean going forward? So obviously we've got season 5 for Battlefield 2042 coming up in the next couple of weeks, I think, and as far as I'm aware that is the last season that up to now is planned for the game. Obviously EA are working on these new titles, but they're not going to be anywhere near being ready for release at the moment. Certainly not getting a new Battlefield game this year, not at all. Next year, who knows? It would be a push, I think, to get a decent game out for next year. I think the development of these games really has to be taken to task, and they have to get it right when they come out. They can't release like what they did with Battlefield 2042. So for a release next year, I think would be pushing it. So then we would be looking at 2025 for the next Battlefield title, which means we're stretching 2 years. And has Battlefield 2042 got 2 years worth of life in it? No, it hasn't. Certainly not. Will they dump the game after season 5 and just allow it to just roll until they have the next Battlefield game. I can't see them doing that either. You've got to keep interest in your franchise up to the point of releasing something new in that franchise. So there has to be something done with Battlefield 2042 in the meantime, in my opinion. They can't simply leave it as it is. What they will do with it, I have no idea. They do need to maybe add more maps, maybe, I don't know, bring out a new narrative for the game for people to work at. I just can't see them just rolling with what they've got until then. Something new has to be done with it just to tide us over until we get the next Battlefield game. Now, they could let Battlefield 2042 roll until next year if they were to bring something out next year, but as I say, I can't see it, so they're gonna have to do something in the meantime to keep, you know, the player interest there. What that will be, I have absolutely no idea, but I'm excited for the future of Battlefield. I want to see what they do with it. Obviously, they want to create a platform rather than just bringing a game out. They want to create this whole universe around Battlefield. Now, this was something that they said they wanted to do with Battlefield 2042. They didn't try. Obviously, they just didn't try. They didn't get anywhere with that game. It was rushed. They didn't give it time to sort of, as they say, gestate and become a great game. So they must do better next time. But like I say, what it's going to look like, you know, we don't even know what era a Battlefield could be set in. But it could be that when they do bring it out, because it's going to be this platform, we could see multiple eras added in so that we can play them. So we won't be waiting 2 years for a World War II title to come out and that just be that World War II title game. It could be incorporated into the platform so that we can just jump between the eras as we want to. But like I say, we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to be following it to see where it goes. I wouldn't expect there to be a whole lot of news out though. But I will say, and I will agree with Jack Frags on this subject, when they do have something for us to play, they need to test the hell out of it, and they need to test it properly. They can't do half-assed testing like what they did with Battlefield 2042. It's just not going to work. It needs to be given to the players to give, you know, proper constructive feedback. And you can't do that over just a couple of days. Maybe when they do have something for us to test, it needs to be done for a couple of weeks. I do remember when they had the old test servers where they would add something to it and you'd have a couple of weeks to play it and you would give your feedback and then they would turn it off. They would do tweaks and changes, then bring it back and you could play again. We need to have something like that brought back. But like I say, we'll wait and see. I'll be following it closely, and when I have more news, I will of course bring it to you guys. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching and listening. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Stay safe and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.